So, what if nature had a price tag? I mean, a real one that our entire global financial system actually had to listen to. Because right now, that system is pretty much completely ignoring it. We're going to dig into this massive and frankly dangerous disconnect and look at a potential AI solution from the University of Oxford that could, well, change everything.
Okay, first, let's just try to get a handle on the scale here. Every single year, the natural world provides services to our global economy worth over, get this, $100 trillion. And no, that's not just some poetic idea. We're talking about the clean water we drink, the pollination that grows our food, the very basics. It's an absolutely staggering number, and it's the bedrock our entire economy is built.
But here's the crazy part. Despite that immense value, there's this huge gap. The estimated shortfall, the money we should be spending to protect and restore biodiversity every year, is $700 billion. Think about that. We are trillions of dollars dependent on nature, but we're hundreds of billions short on just keeping it healthy. The money's it's not going where it needs to.
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the big question we're tackling in this explainer. If our economic survival is so tangled up with the health of our planet, why does our financial system seem totally blind to its decline? How can there be such a dangerous gap between what nature's actually worth and how we value it on a balance sheet?
Well, the problem is a massive blind spot. The big players, we're talking banks, investors, insurers, the ones who direct where all the money goes, they just don't have the right tools. They can't see, they can't measure, and so they can't manage the huge risks that come with nature loss.
Really, at its core, the data is just a total mess. All the information about a company's supply chain, its impact on deforestation, its water usage, it's scattered everywhere. It's complex, it's disconnected. So, a portfolio manager can't just draw a straight line from a loan they're making to, say, a specific risk from biodiversity loss happening on the other side of the world. The cause and effect is totally lost in the noise.
But what if you could map all those connections? That's exactly what researchers at the University of Oxford are trying to do. They've proposed a solution, a super specialized database they're calling Nature KG, and it's designed to do one thing: untangle this incredibly complex web for the world of finance.
Now, what's really cool here is the kind of database it is. It's called a knowledge graph. So I want you to forget about spreadsheets for a second. Instead, picture one of those detectives' corkboards you see in the movies, right? With all the photos and the notes and the clues all connected by red string. A knowledge graph is basically that, but for data. It's all about the relationships between things.
And this is a perfect example of how it works. See, instead of just a big list of facts, a knowledge graph makes these simple but really powerful connections. It links three things together. So you can explicitly connect an action, like reforestation, with a relationship mitigates to a driver of nature loss, like GHG emissions. It literally draws that line, connecting the dots in a way a computer can finally understand.
And this Nature KG database is, it's incredibly thorough. It's mapping everything from entire economic sectors and their supply chains to specific corporate actions, the environmental pressures they cause, and even the scientific evidence that backs it all up. It's basically building the ultimate detective's corkboard for nature finance.
Okay, so we have this incredibly powerful interconnected database. Awesome. But that brings up a whole new problem, right? How does a normal financial analyst, someone who isn't a database whiz, actually use this thing? How do you ask the corkboard a question? Well, that's where the AI comes in.
Just look at this. On the left, you've got a simple question in plain English, something anyone could ask. On the right, that's what the database actually needs to hear. It's a query written in this complex language called Cipher. It's the specific code this kind of database gets. So the whole goal of this Oxford research was to use an AI, specifically a large language model, to be the universal translator between the person and the machine. So, to see if this whole translator idea could actually work, the researchers ran an experiment. They grabbed a few different open-source AI models and trained them on one very specific job: take a normal question in English and turn it into perfect working cipher code for their Nature KG database.
And here's what they found. This chart shows something called execution accuracy, which is just a fancy way of saying what percentage of the time did the AI get the translation right. So the code actually worked. And as you can see, the Phi-3 model came out on top, getting it right 21% of the time. Now I know, 21% might not sound like a home run, but for a brand new super specialized task like this, getting it right almost a quarter of the time, right out of the gate, is actually a fantastic result. It's a huge step.
And the researchers themselves are really clear about this. They say these results should be seen as a baseline. This isn't some final, ready-to-sell product. What it is, though, is a powerful proof of concept. It proves that this translation is actually possible. It sets the starting line for making this whole thing even better and way more accurate.
So, let's zoom out. What does a tool like this actually mean for the future of finance and the environment? What happens when you finally give the financial world a way to see into its own massive blind spot?
Well, the potential is it's transformative. You're talking about smarter risk assessments that can finally factor in the real costs of environmental damage. It means investors can actually align their money with things that help nature, not hurt it. It creates transparency so you can hold companies accountable for their actual impact. And of course, it helps everyone keep up with the growing wave of environmental regulations.
You know, at the end of the day, this research isn't just about a clever database or some cool AI. It's really about laying the foundation for a whole new generation of financial systems. Systems that are built from the ground up to understand our deep economic dependence on the natural world. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. For centuries, we've tried to get richer by, well, exploiting the planet. But what if the key to a truly richer and more resilient planet is just a smarter database? One that finally helps us all see, and maybe, just maybe, act on its true value.